Hello Matt, it is January the 19th. I feel we're still in the long month of January, like it is not getting any better, easier or shorter, but oh well, we're over halfway through it now, so it'll get better. Right, so I want to say for the next 4 months at college I'm going to be working on my final major project, which, it's the biggest one. So I just want to put that out there, and I'm not going to say what I'm going to do it of, because I've realised every single time I talk about something I'm going to do in the vlogs, I end up never doing it. So just to avoid the curse from happening again, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do until I'm for the final major project, until I'm certain I'm going to do it. But in preparation for it, I was sort of scouting out locations, and I was scouting out the industrial estate behind where I live yesterday when walking home from college, and what I found out was that the vlog uploaded on January the 18th, 2 years ago to the day yesterday, my vlog was filmed walking around the industrial estates. And that was probably the last time I actually walked around it, so yeah, that's pretty strange how it is exactly 2 years. I may have walked across it maybe once after, but the first time I actually remember it, it's a pretty weird coincidence that. But yeah, FMP this term, that's the big thing. We'll probably define what my grade is at the end of this college year. And finally, Matt, in answer to your question, I'm not really clamouring for you to get a microphone. You can, but I'm just going to say it's going to be a bit more effort for not that much of a better reward. If you're doing an actual short film, get audio equipment, definitely. Like, it is so good to get a microphone if you're actually doing something that's more complex than a vlog. But to be honest, unless if you're a really professional vlogger, which, let's face it, we're not yet, but in our current form, I don't think you need a microphone, just need a audio from the camera. Also, you'll just forget to use it after a while and you'll never use it again. Green screen, for instance. That was a waste of about £10. But yeah, I would probably say get it if you want. It will improve the quality, but it's not really worth the amount of money you'll have to pay to get what you want. I'd say put the money you get from pizza into something a little bit more productive. I mean, I personally say all you need to make good vlogs at this scale is a good camera, a good angle, and decent lighting, which is one thing I haven't got. So yeah, maybe that's the next step for me. But yeah, I don't think a microphone is going to be that handy. Right, now getting into the movie review. Now, I did have a few movies racing through my mind about what I could review, but then I remembered every year has got to have that one review that is of a really bad movie. So yeah, I'm going to review that really bad movie in this review. But my question to you, Matt, is what is the worst movie you've ever seen? This isn't the worst movie I've ever seen that I'm reviewing, it's the 4th worst movie. Behind movies that, funnily enough, I've already reviewed. But yeah, what is the worst movie you've ever seen? Simple and open question. So without further ado, let's get into the review of Creepshow, a 1981 horror short film collection-ish thing. Let me just say it right now, this movie sort of put me off horror for a few months. I do usually like watching about one horror a month, and I have a good time watching them. They may not be the best movies, but probably they're the most fun to watch because they give you that real adrenaline rush. This movie kind of put me off them, which is, yeah, no movie's really done that before, put me off a genre. It's about 5 short films, technically, yeah, 5 short films, loosely tied together by a comic book strip, which, yeah, the comic book strip's animated terribly. So that's a brilliant sign. And it's yeah, I mean, the whole tone of the movie, everyone says it's cheesy, so it's good. Yeah, it's cheesy, but just because something is cheesy doesn't mean it's instantly good. Let's admit it, that, like, I've tried to remove this movie from my brain, so if I get any details wrong, because I know there's people out there who like this movie, if I get any details wrong, I've kind of tried to forget about the movie, but I'm just saying what I do remember. And the cheese factor, especially in the intro and the first short film, is just not good. It's cringy to watch. And that is exactly how the first short film can be described. It is horrific. Like, so many bad lines in this first short story about something, a monster rising from the dead, and like about some kind of birthday cake. I've got no clue. It is so horrendous, like horrendously acted. It's sort of vaguely so bad it's good, but at the same time it's just terrible. I can't even remember what the premise of it was. The second short story is actually starring Stephen King himself, which is pretty sweet. He was the writer of them, and in Stephen King's defense, he did write Misery, my favourite horror movie of all time, so it does balance itself out. He doesn't always write, in fact he writes quite a lot of really good stuff, but this is just one of the things he wrote that isn't that good in my eyes. So yeah, he stars in this short film, which is sort of like a slime thing that it's very similar to that SpongeBob SquarePants story when like the fungus comes out of the air, and that is considered one of the worst episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants. So it doesn't work in feature film, big surprise. I'm skipping the third story because I want to explain that a little later. So the fourth story is about some kind of mysterious box. It's a decent premise, and it actually starts to feel a bit like a movie at this point. Like, it's not as cheesy and cringy, but it's paced horrifically. The pacing in this short story is unforgivably bad. It felt like about an hour long, and by this point I was like half expecting the movie to completely end. I was hoping for it to end. It was just so boring, but at least there's some suspense built up. Yeah. And then the fifth story is about kind of cockroaches in a man, and yeah, basically cockroaches invade the inside of a man and they kind of make his life misery, and then they kill him. To be fair, creative premise, good effects. It's the best out of 5, but at points it can be a bit too graphic and gruesome even for a horror movie, if that makes sense. I mean, you don't see blood, you just see cockroaches, which, as you know, I've got insect phobia, so I didn't really like it. But I mean, it's the best out of 5. But now let's talk about the third one. Now, Leslie Nielsen's in it. You know, Leslie Nielsen, Naked Gun and Airplane. It's probably the biggest missed casting of all time. He is some kind of serial killer who drowns people on the beach, I don't know, and it is just acting so bad. He can't do this kind of role, and the two other characters that okay, it's cringy. Basically, it's cringy. It's not paced well. It's now, I don't know about what the director's done in their life. I don't know if they've done ever actually good stuff. But for this movie, if I ever see him, I will mount his head on a spike. So sorry about that review being a little bit disjointed and cringy, but it's better than the movie. Stay away from it. Stay away from Creepshow, it's so awful. Alright, I just had to get that review out of the way because I always review a bad movie, and hopefully I don't see any more movies I completely hate throughout the year. But next week we're moving on to something awesome. I'll leave that up to you. You can guess if you want, but you're probably not going to guess it, Matt, but you will be pretty damn excited if you know what one of your favourite movies is, which I remember you saying. But next week's movie is going to be the start of that franchise. So yeah, we're going to get on to something awesome next week. What is your worst movie you've ever seen? I'll see you on Saturday.